Okay, so key terms. Now, look, I've put them as pots of gold because they really are pots of gold in terms of your marks. This is what the examiners are looking for you to be using. And really, we use this as the structure of every paragraph now. These key terms, there are 5 main key terms. There are some more that you can put in, and we'll talk about those later. But the main ones are validity. So really, we're talking about what are sociologists looking for in their data? Why are they going about doing research? Well, some of them really want validity. So they really want a true or accurate picture of the social situation. Some of these sociologists want reliability. So they want a method that can be consistent and they can get the same data no matter who is studying that situation, and it's replicable. So we use the word replicable or repeatable, and you're still getting the same results. Another key one is representativeness. This just means how typical your findings are in terms of the group that you're studying. So have you got a typical slice of that population? So I know in class I've used the example of a pizza, and if you had a typical slice of pepperoni pizza, then that slice would have all the bits of a pepperoni pizza. So it would have pepperoni, tomato, mozzarella. And a slice that isn't typical would be a very poor slice that would just have a bit of tomato on it. So representative means having all the ingredients of that group. Generalizability is the ability to use your findings and then apply them to a bigger group. Now, I think we've all looked at Willis's lads as an example of the working class. And some people say, well, you can't really go from such a small group, just 12 lads, to say things about the whole, to say things about the working class as a whole. So generalizability means the ability to apply your findings to a larger group. Now, this last one, verstehen, is a German word, and it comes from Weber, who is one of the sociologists we'll look at next year. And it really means getting a deep and rich understanding of a social situation. And some sociologists really believe that that is what's the most important thing of research. So why are these key terms so important to you? Why are they golden? Well, it's because our little friend Pia has a new element to it. So we're looking at peckers for your new paragraph structure. So, okay, let's move on to other bits that you need to understand to see the whole picture of research. Now, just like with the other parts of sociology, where we've looked at theories or sort of ideas about how sociology should be, we've looked at functionalism and Marxism and postmodernism. Well, in the same way, we've got theories in terms of research. But there are 3 main theories. So we have got, on the one hand, we have got positivism. On the opposite side, we have got interpretivism. And in the middle, as a kind of mixture of both, we've got realism. Okay, and the next few slides are going to take you through the different approaches. And what I'd like you to do is to record something like this in your notes. So first of all, then you need to pause the video, make sure you've got some table like this, and then go through the following slides and record notes from it. Okay, there's quite a lot of writing on this slide, but this is looking first of all at positivism, which is probably the first kind of approach to sociology. And it's a very scientific view of society. So positivists believe that we should be studying society in a scientific way, in a very objective way, unbiased. They wanted to look at the whole picture. They wanted to see, or they do want to see, what's going on in society. So they use quantitative methods. Now, quantitative methods tend to be looking at numbers. So they're looking at statistics so that they can look at trends and patterns to see what's happening in society. And we've seen some of this going on in our education units because we've been looking at statistics on in what ways children on lower incomes, on receiving free school meals, how they're performing at school, and that there is a difference. So what I'd like you to do is have a read of this and make some notes in your on your table. So pause it here. An example of a positivist is Emile Durkheim. Now, we know Durkheim from our study of functionalism, and there's a little clip here if you wanted to look in a little bit more detail. It's quite a nice little clip that rounds up Durkheim in general, but he did a study of suicide, and what he did was he looked at this in a very scientific way by looking at death certificates and looking at the features of the people who died through suicide. So he was looking at suicide as a feature of society, and he was trying to look at it in a very scientific and objective way. And the great thing about this study was that he was able to use data from several countries. So it's a massive study that he did. And he found out really through his study that those who commit suicide tend to lack social integration. So again, please take some notes on this and put it in the example box at the bottom of your table. On the very opposite scale then is another theoretical perspective in sociology, and this is interpretivism. And it can be described as anti-scientific because really these kinds of sociologists are saying that people can't be studied in the kind of scientific way that the positivists thought that they could be studied. What they're after, these interpretivists, is a really deep and thorough understanding of the social situation. So you could see these as looking at why things are happening in society rather than what is happening in society. And as one of the key features that I've put here, they care more about the depth and detail of what they're getting in terms of their study rather than the breadth. So for them, validity and verstehen are really important, whereas large-scale, representative, generalizable studies are not really their focus. Okay, so you need to pause and take some notes. So we've looked at the two extremes of theoretical perspective, but I suppose in the middle is a more modern approach, and this is known as realism, which is described as a halfway house. And this is really looking at the benefits of both the scientific and the non-scientific approaches to sociology. And some people call this a type of scientific approach. But there's a difference between the kind of science that biology and chemistry offer us, because they are described as being closed systems. They have very few variables, so you can study them in quite a consistent way, and a way that isn't going to vary. But in terms of society, people are quite unpredictable at times, so they can't be studying quite the same way. So some people have likened the study of society in sociology to something like the study of the weather, where we can sort of have an idea of what's going on, but it's an open system, so we can't always predict. So realism is saying, okay, science is of benefit, but we've got to realise that it has limits. And actually finding out why people behave the way they do is also important. So in a way, realism is great because it's getting validity and some deeper understanding, but it's also got the reliability that positivism offers us.